When I think about the counselor, I think about all the things that we have questions for, right? Many of us have questions about our lives, our situations, marriages, our jobs, our employment, our children, and so forth. When I think about that, and you say, hey, who can I talk to? Why not the counselor? The counselor is here. He's here for you. So call the counselor. 10 to 2, the counselor.
All right, we are back and welcome to The Counselor. I am your host, Sheldon Stovall. Today, we're going to be talking about a very sensitive but important subject, body image issues. And, I was thinking, how should we approach this? Talking to adults, these image issues have already kind of developed within inside. But we want to talk about the teens and the younger ones. How are children and teenagers affected by body image issues? And yes, our kids are being affected by this, right? So once again, we just want to offer you guys, if some of the subject matter kind of reaches you or you feel like maybe it might be you or someone you might know, you can always give me a call. The number is always scrolling down on the screen. You can email me at promo@thecounselor.live, or you can slide up in my DMs. All right, so how are very young children affected by body image? So these are statistics that I've kind of researched. At age 3, children begin to have opinions about their body, right? So cause of negative body images in daycare and age children, likely more due to social pressures and mental health disorders. So sometimes the children might, pick on each other, when they're younger, and then the poor baby will come home or they'll ask, what is that on your face? And, that starts early, right? How do children in daycare feel about their bodies? All right, daycare workers in the UK said they heard and saw children ages 3 to 5 engaging in the following statements or behaviors at these rates. So they're fat. 37% of the kids say they're fat. And I can guarantee you they're saying that because they're repeating what whoever is living in the house is saying, right? So if you find yourself always referring to yourself as fat, you're putting that towards your child. They don't know that they're fat unless someone tells them, right? I'm fat. 31% of them are starting to look at themselves already, identifying themselves as fat, right? I am ugly, right? What is ugly? I would love to know what ugly is. Ugly is when you're comparing something to something else, and one you might find beautiful and one you might find unattractive. But beauty is in the eye of the beholder, so what you might think is beautiful, someone else may not, and vice versa, right? So sometimes when I hear the word ugly, I'm concerned. I think it's just a word that someone put in because they couldn't think of anything else besides non-beauty, right? Non-beautiful to them. All right, so there's no ugly. I hate that word. It's a terrible thing to say to people. It really hurts their feelings, right? So kids, when you're starting to call someone ugly because they don't look like you, or their breath doesn't smell like yours does, or their armpits don't smell like your armpits. And by the way, you all stink sometimes. So just to let you know that instead of saying that about each other, right? You all stink. Let's go into your room and your sock drawer for a minute. All right? All that stuff is so mean, right? Stop doing that. All right. Avoiding food for fear of fatness, okay? When kids are starting that early, worrying about their body image, when they barely can get on the rides at Six Flags, there's an issue, right? So, the weight perception starts early. Now, how do 8 to 15-year-olds perceive their bodies? So these are some other stats I received. Number thinking they're fat or overweight, just under 18%. So not too many of them. They're all pretty thin, or, they're diverse. They have a diverse, I've noticed at schools, when you see the school kids, it's diverse. No one's like too skinny and no one's too large. Everyone's kind of mixed in the middle, right? Attempting to lose weight sometimes within the past year, nearly 49%. So anybody who's feeling like they're, feeling like they might be overweight would want to start, losing a few pounds, getting themselves into shape. And again, these are 8 to 15-year-olds, right? So we all know that we call it baby fat. It's going to fall off at one time. And then there's the same thing with someone who feels that they might be too thin, right? They want to gain weight. They eat constantly, and their stomach doesn't even move after 17 Whoppers. I know someone like that, right? They just eat and not even, Wow, love to be like that again. All right, so attempting to lose weight frequently within the past year. So once again, you ever meet these people, I'm going to start another diet, I'm going to start this diet, I'm going to start keto, I'm going to do this. People are always conscious about their weight. So this starts early, between the ages of 8 and 15. And sometimes parents, we need to start paying attention to this. So once again, we're doing eating disorders. All right, percent hoping to lose weight, about 34%. So it's about a third of the teenagers who took this assessment. And then a percent of students hoping to stay the same weight, just over 22. So some people just made it past 100. Now you're in the 3 digits, I'm 100 pounds now, okay, great. Are you wet or something? Okay, so yes, sometimes when you're gaining weight, you're happy as well, because a lot of these kids, they start getting called skinny. You're skinny, right? That's how your body's made up, and we're going to talk about that in a little bit. How do boys and girls differ in body image? So at age 13, boys and girls show similar rates of body dissatisfaction. So at 14, girls begin to show significant higher levels, and they the levels increase for them and decrease for boys as they get a little older, right? So girls begin to start getting a little bit more self-conscious of themselves, probably because you boys be looking at those girls a little bit too hard sometimes, all right? So you're starting to make them self-conscious because you're looking at them, which is a natural thing, but that's what happens, right? So we're talking about body image. Okay. So how do kids and adults differ in body images and experiences? So 66% of people under 18 and 61% of people 18 and over feel negative or very negative about their body image all the time. All right. So what should we do about that? Okay. We need to start educating more schools or in school concerning body image, right? And this is the age of social media, whether we want to admit it to ourselves or not. We need to start talking about those TikTok videos that they're looking at, right? Or those Instagram photos that people are paying $3,000 and $5,000 for backing, as you can see, all about the image, right? The image. How do I look, right? So it starts working on you as a person. So what do? Do we just sit there and let this happen to ourselves? No, we start looking for some help. Talk to some professionals that can help work you through these situations. Because once again, we're trying to work on our anxiety and our depression, right? And these are mental health concerns that we all have faced or can face in our lives, right? So where does it start? It starts by not working on some of these things, not paying attention to what's being taught to you, right? So we're glad we have the counselor here, right? All right. What do kids think affect their body images? So they did a poll, they asked questions on what do kids think, right? So internalization of society's body ideals, criticism about one's appearance, and discussions with friends and peers. About half of them had a body image variance, right? So what should someone look like? What is the perfect body type? Right? We look at even the models, like I'm telling my age again, when Tyra Banks was out there and Naomi Campbell and different ones, RuPaul and all those people that were the top models, right, in the 90s or something. I think it was the 90s or 2000s. Can't remember. But yeah, so Heidi Klum too. I'm trying to remember all of them. But yes, Kamora Simmons. All right, I remember that. I used to watch all the shows that came on for Valentine's Day with the Victoria's Secret models. Okay, I'm telling my age again, right? And they look very different now from the Kylie Jenners and the other housewife daughters that are now like supermodels, right? So, if you look at what people looked at and thought was beautiful then and what people are looking at and thought was beautiful now, the images look very different. So that comes from somewhere, right? That comes from social media. That comes from you learning and looking at things that make you want to desire to look like that. So it becomes some kind of image criteria, right? You see all these people on TikTok, on Facebook, like jumping on a pull-up bar and just doing as many as they can so their arms start shaking, right? Because they're trying to look a certain way. They want a 12-pack, right? They want to look like what they're seeing that people are getting the like button for, right? So it's nothing wrong with wanting to be healthy, but when you're killing yourself, starving yourself, and developing an eating disorder behind it, that's when we need to slow it down, because we're going to talk about the different types of eating disorders and the causes of and effects from this. All right. So some of these things can be very critical and crucial to you physically. So that's why we're bringing this up, because this is a real thing in America. And as I said, right now, we're just kind of giving you some stats on it. But we want to go more into the eating disorders. All right. How does bullying affect body image, right? Childhood bullying correlates with low body imaging during the teen years and disordered eating in adulthood. So, yes, you start getting called all these names by people that you go to school with. And it's so unfortunate, right? It's so unfortunate that kids are, we just say they're just kids. No, it's mean. I knew what I was doing when I was in 6th grade. I knew what I was doing in 7th grade. I knew what I was doing in 8th grade. I knew what I was doing in 9th grade. Do you understand? I even knew what I was doing in 4th grade. So, kid, don't let this foolishness blind you, parents. If you find your child picking on someone, you need to think about that and talk with your child, because that's not fair to that other person to be bullied because they live in the neighborhood that you're living in and they have to put up with your child, right? They have to put up with your child because everyone knows you're the one that let that child become the way it is, right? And so when your child is in school picking on people, calling them mean things, what type of child is that? So what I would tell you to do is bring them to the nearest church and dip them in holy water. All right? Shake them out a little bit. Help them wake up. Rub the oil across their face. All right? Get them a nice gloss on, and hopefully, they won't start shaking and seizing on the floor. Come on. That's not fair to pick on people, right? So parents, you have to find this out for yourself as well and ask them questions. I know I ask. Are you picking on people at school? Do you say mean things to people? These are things that parents, you need to start opening up and saying, because these cause a lifetime. People like that, they're causing a lifetime of damage on someone who innocently has to be in school with your child. These poor kids that have to deal with these bullies, it's ridiculous. I was fortunate. I had an older brother and an older sister, and I was happy and fine. I went right to my little nerdy classes, and I was good. No one picked on me at all. Yeah. So I was fortunate, but a lot of kids aren't fortunate like that. They're going to school by themselves. They have to go to school too. And you got these kids that are just being not raised, right, properly by parents who think it's funny that you're picking on someone in school. All right. And I know we talk about a lot of bullying, and they have bullying policies in school, and I really like that. That's something that should have been there a long time ago. No tolerance to bullying. Get those kids out of that school. They don't belong. They don't fit in. They don't understand that they can't treat people in that manner. All right. Sounds like I've been bullied, huh? No, I haven't. Okay. How does body image affect children's social skills? All right, children 9 to 12 in Spain who are happy with their bodies have greater skills to understand and appreciate the emotions of others. All right, so when you're a happier person, once again, when we're having these issues, it's all about who? Yourself, right? So when you're starting to be self-absorbed, worrying about how you look in a size 0, you look fine. Oh my goodness, I gained weight, I'm now a 1. Oh my goodness. Whoa. Come on, that is overwhelming and ridiculous. And guys, if you're requiring your girlfriend and your wife or your partner, your boyfriend, girls, vice versa, if you're doing that to people, you are a bully as well. Right? You are a bully because you're making someone feel like they have to fit into your mold. All right. So if I were you, I would go look at my grandparents. You're not going to look like that for the rest of your life. And just like how you require someone to look, what if they require you to look like you look for the rest of your life? All right. So if you do have grandparents alive, go visit. You're not going to always look like that. So all of this requiring things, and some of you young ladies that are falling for that game, they're bullies. All right? Leave those bullies to themselves. Let them go find someone else that's going to put up with that type of treatment for someone to require you to look a certain way. All right? If that is the case, all of us would be born looking the same way. And thank God I don't look like everybody else. So that's how I feel. I don't have low self-esteem. So I don't care what someone is thinking about how I should look. Thank you for your opinion. I appreciate it. Right? That's what you need to do, is you need to start understanding that you can't allow someone else to make you not feel good about what you see. Who you are is what you are. Right? You don't need someone to tell you what you should look like. That's what you look like. Okay? Now, as health-wise, if you're eating snacks every day and popcorn and, going to McDonald's 3 times a day and Burger King 2 times a day and Wendy's, and that's in between snacks and meals, now that's an issue, right? That's overeating, and we'll talk about that. That's another disorder. All right, so I want you guys to keep on watching. I know this is some heavy stuff. But I want you guys to stay tuned to the counselor. We're going to be talking about body image. And if you feel that you've overcome some of these situations, I want to always remind you guys, I look at the stats and my audience is anywhere between the ages of 18 and 24. All right. There's also an audience about 30 to 45 that's growing quickly on my YouTube channel as well. So thank you guys for watching. I am the counselor, and hopefully I'll be seeing you soon. Look at the video that's coming up next. That is part 2. So stay tuned to Eating Disorders on The Counselor. Do not go over a single man's home by yourself, especially if you meet him online. All right, I want you to take your time and think about that. That's not a good idea at all. You're too young to know why you're doing it, but more importantly, you should not be doing it. Bring a friend, tell a parent. Oh, shocking. Tell your parents. Yes. Because some of you guys won't be found. Okay, I love those movies, Taken, and I forget the other ones, some of the other ones that they are taking kids and selling them, sex trafficking. Those movies when the dads are searching the earth. But that's not a reality. That's a movie. Hello, this is the counselor, and I am your host, Sheldon Stovall. So today we're going to be talking about body and beauty standards. So this is America, and image is everything. But what we want to do with this show is we just want to kind of break it down a little bit. I know that the last part one, we were talking about images, just kind of giving you guys some facts. So this time we're going to continue our series on body image. So I want you guys to ask yourself, why is the American body ideal for so many women to be so unrealistic and unattainable? So when we think about that, I'm telling my age again, guys, but I remember when reality TV first started. I actually remember when the first person and who the first person was on reality TV. So just going back, thinking back, I remember everybody starting out on reality TV. And that would be from the Kardashians, episode 1, season 1, to The Real World, to many of these shows that you guys are seeing now, and actually some of these stars, if you've seen on these reality shows, even that as far as back as the Housewives, right? That franchise. And so thinking back, people looked regular on TV, and for some reason, they thought that we didn't like it. So slowly, images started changing. Like, for example, I lived in Hollywood. So all of a sudden, you're seeing people getting all these augmentations on their face, right? So fillers, I remember Botox injections, all types of different masks that they had to tighten your skin. It was all about having good skin and good teeth and white teeth, right? Especially when you're in Hollywood or in the Los Angeles area. So what happened was people started feeling self-conscious, right? Oh my goodness, my behind looks flat on TV. Oh God, did you see me in those jeans? You couldn't even tell that I was a woman, right? These unrealistic and unattainable ideals started popping up in magazines, right? And all of a sudden, that's the way things went. People started going towards that look, started getting butt injections, right? They were putting in at one time, if you couldn't afford, to go to a Beverly Hills plastic surgeon, you still needed those things, right? Strippers, I'm talking to you guys. And so some of them would actually go, to I call it the sweatshop, but it's where a doctor or a person that didn't get their degree or lost their license due to malpractice, it's still practicing, right? And so I remember when they were injecting cement into young ladies. Cement. All about this ideal look, an unrealistic and unattainable look, right? So I remember when Cardi B, when she was on Love and Hip Hop New York, right? And she just felt like her teeth weren't the best, but everything else was good. I remember that. And now I don't even recognize her as a media mogul. I don't even recognize her. I remember the song, I Got a Bag and Fixed My Teeth. And then all of a sudden, now she looks like she got more bags and fixed a lot more things, right? So now it's an unrealistic and unattainable look, right? Is the body ideal for men and more realistic or attainable than the ideal for women, right? So we're going to get into that a little bit more. So moms, I want you to go get your young sons. We're going to be talking about male body image versus female. We're also going to be talking about boys' body image that is being shaped by social media. So go get your kids. This will be a really enlightening show. All right. So as far as men are concerned, we all have this standard that we have to go by, right? A flat stomach and, a few swollen arms. You can stuff them in your jacket. Your arms so big you can't put them in a suit coat jacket, that type of thing. Shirt unbuttoned, all the way open and, 6-pack. I call it 12-pack. And some people have a 12-pack and they include the rib cage, So some people really are into obtaining this role. So, yes, does men have a more, realistic, attainable ideal than women? So we'll talk about that. Does this tell us anything about the roles we expect men and women to fulfill? So does having a better body make you more of a man, right? Does having a better looking body make you the most intelligent person in the room, right? You might be the most aesthetically attractive, but are you the most intelligent, right? So these things happen as well. Can you think of any plus size celebrities today? Like when I was doing this survey, I tried to think myself for a male plus size celebrity, and I couldn't think of anybody. Cedric the Entertainer, but I don't consider that plus size. Cedric looks like an uncle or, someone that a relative, right? So for me, I don't think he's a plus size, but if that's what we're thinking about, we were having a discussion the other day with some of our producers. And, all the body standards that Lizzo has, even for her shape and size and how they celebrate her, she has issues because they don't want her to lose weight, right? So even celebrities that are in this industry, if you're a certain size and that size is selling your product and then you lose weight, you just lost some weight and lost yourself a job, right? So that's happened. I'm not going to really go back into that, but that has happened in my lifetime too, where certain people who were always in the newspapers and magazines for up and down weight, all of a sudden they lost all the weight. You haven't seen them since. So that was their ideal. I can't remember the lady's name, but she was on Cheers. She was like the manager. So anyway, how are they portrayed and how has movement changed within the last 5 years or so? Right. So these stars, they go through these imaging changes and all of a sudden, and this was when magazines were around, Oprah was losing, Oprah was gaining, Oprah's back on the bench. You start seeing these different stories, right? And portrayals of weight loss and weight gains. And we're going to find out there's a reason why these things are out there. Right? These are industries that you're dealing with, right? So you're learning about what you should look like by social media, by the mainstream media, by schoolmates, your peers. So you're learning each day how you are supposed to look. So with images of ideal beauty bombarding us daily, it is easy to forget the standards of beauty and that they are arbitrary and that they vary greatly both from one culture to another over time, right? So this is America's idea, right? This is America. So I didn't get any of my studies from America because already our minds are tainted, right? We already think what people are supposed to look like. We're being told what to think that, right? When you're watching movies, when you're seeing pictures on social media, kind of everybody looks like they're having the same, they go to the same gym, they eat the same food, and they have the same body types, right? So where women... there are contexts in the world where women are valued mainly for fertility, right? So their ability to bear and nurture children, often guys are looking for in some other cultures, like a full-bodied woman with broad hips and ample breasts. And they will be considered the most beautiful, right? So in other countries, some guys are, when they're looking for a wife, they're looking for a certain type figure woman. So again, we're not using America right now. We're going to talk about Fiji. So Fiji, the large bodies are a symbol of one's status and power, right? So individuals who would be classified as obese in the United States are considered the most attractive and desirable members of this culture. So that's why I said we're not using studies from the United States right now, right? So in other countries in Fiji, so if someone is looking for, to be someone to lead them, or they're looking towards their leaders, they're looking for somebody who's big and strong, and healthy, right? When they're looking for someone to bear their children, they want that child to get those attributes too, right? They want the child to have thicker body shape. They want the child to, be able to be kind of like an athletic build, right? We'll call it an athletic build. So that's what some of these other countries, when they're looking, right? In our country, it's a little different, right? The social media kind of tells us what we should look like, and we're going to find that out. So, but as social conditions and gender roles change, so do the ideas of beauty. So in the 1960s and 70s and 80s, the idea of beauty shifted from mature, curvaceous body, right, like Marilyn Monroe, like Whoopi Goldberg, to the stick, thin, flat-chested figure, like capitalized by supermodels, like Twiggy. I had to look up who that was, and Kendall Jenner, and also the Renner daughters. I can't remember their names. Them as well. Like, they're famous and popular, and they're very thin, right? So thin is in America, right? And I think we talked about that the other day, like in the 80s, the 90s, I believe, in the 2000s, Tyra Banks and different models. They look very different than the Kendall Jenners and Gigi Hadids, right? So this industry is a multi-billion-dollar economy, and it's built on our insecurities about the size, right? Your size has a lot to do with it. Some people are ashamed when they go shopping with friends, or ashamed when they go shopping, and you'll see them cover up or fold over the size, right? So people are concerned about their size. And like I joked about it the other day, the size 2, but I actually had a friend who, wanted to remain like a 0 or 1. I can't even remember, because guys, we don't go that low. But, and she had gained like a little bit of weight in her body, her waist over time. She got older, we got older, she gained a little more waist in her waist, and she was upset because she went up a waist size. So it's concerning, right? When size is that important. Shape, right? So how someone is shaped, and the appearance of our bodies. So I often say this, and I'm going to repeat it because I don't think there's anything wrong with it, right? Think about saving money. So if you were a designer and you had a runway, right? And, obviously you're not getting paid yet when you're starting out, getting the materials together and designing the material. So if you're a designer and you need models and you need to make these clothes to fit perfectly, are you going to get someone who is a plus size that might use more material, right? Or are you going to get someone who you just need a sliver of material to go ahead and put it on and get your design ready, right? Because usually when people they, are coming out with a clothing line or whatever, they're going to buy mostly all of that material. They're going to buy all of those materials out there so that no one else can come out with their unique piece, right? So when you're using that, now each yard, right, that costs money. So think about it. You're not going to have plus size models modeling your clothes because that's a lot of material that you can be using and selling, right? But if you get someone that's about this big, right, there you go. So again, sometimes these industries, right, they're thinking about saving money or making money. It's not all about you can only get into this Chanel suit if you're a size 1 and it don't look like right on somebody if they're a size 10 or 15, right? I've seen them all in Chanel suits. You guys all look the same in a Chanel suit. I'm sorry. Just want to let you know that. The leading beauty industries and fashion, right, like fashion and cosmetics and weight loss and cosmetic surgery, these people make money from our insecurities as well and make a larger and greater profit. So the more dissatisfied we are with our bodies or our appearance, right, the greater profit that they're going to make. So why would I tell you that you're all set, you're cured, and disallow you to come back in my office? Will I make any more money from you? No. Right? So these industries, they think like this. Let's keep telling them that they're ugly. Let's keep telling them that they're overweight. Let's put movies out picking on, a chubby kid. Let's put movies out about somebody with acne because we need to sell this facial product, right? Let's do another infomercial. I forget who that was that never had acne in their life. I don't know if it was Justin Bieber or one of them, Lindsay Lohan. One of them had this commercial about getting your skincare, like skincare. And they played like on MTV when I was younger and all these different stations. Like every 15 minutes, I seen a commercial about skincare, right? And I looked and I would always see them on TV and I've never seen a blemish on their face, right? So they were using celebrities that we knew, right, to sell me skincare, right? So when you think about it, the more someone keeps putting someone up on TV with acne on their face, right, and saying what you can do to fix it, the more self-conscious you become if you are a regular teen like the rest of us who might have gotten acne. It happens. It's part of growing up and your body dealing with the world and adjusting and changing, right? There's nothing wrong with acne. It's on your face. It's not on yours. It's not on the next person. What do you care if someone has acne, right? So body image, right? When people are telling you that you're overweight, I said this the other day as well. You got to meet some of the other family. Maybe that's a size that's regular in that family. So but just because you're thin and, your knees knocked together and whatever goes on, however these kids cracking each other these days, that doesn't mean that she comes from a family that's thin. So why the need to continuously harass people about their body and make people feel uncomfortable about their body? So I want you guys to ask yourself, right? And these are things I just want you guys to think about. Why is it okay for women to dress in menswear style suits, but oddly unacceptable for men to dress in skirts, lace, or anything considered feminine, right? And again, body image, and it comes from everywhere. So we're just kind of peeling this apart a little bit, but it comes from everywhere, right? It comes from your family, your church setting, your culture, right? So it's coming from all around you. So if some, who was it? Will Smith's son, like Jaden Smith, right? He came out with styles. What was the other? EJ. These people came out, wearing the diverse styles, the men's skirts, the men's purses, things like that. And still people had something to say, right? And that's, again, this is the U.S. society. This is what we are telling each other, that you can't wear what you want, but we are the land of free, but you can't look a certain way if you don't look like me. Right? So when we start thinking about that, what are we telling other cultures about us as well? Which is more oppressive to women? Victorian era, the corset, right? You see some of these shows where they're putting those corsets on, trying to get into that wedding dress, say yes to the dress and all these things, and they're pulling those corsets, right? Full skirts. You've seen the young Christian ladies, in many cultures. I do remember in the Hispanic culture a lot. When I used to work in some of the fast food industries, I would meet some of the Hispanic young ladies, and they would have dresses like really sweeping the floor. And that wasn't even the clothing standard for there, but they got it approved because it was a religious thing, right? So wearing these full skirts, bonnets, and gloves, all that pressure to where, people have to be modest, right? That's the ideal, to have a modest appear. Or the opposite to that is the pressure to wear low cut, like form fitting shirts and tight, ultra low, like rise jeans. So think about how much time do you spend each day on your clothing and makeup, and compare this with the amount of time you spend on like significant other things, like significant social issues, like, I don't know, poverty, homeless children, feeding homeless people, caring for dogs and shelters, animal shelters. There's so many other things we can do in this country besides trying to measure ourselves to someone else. Have you ever noticed how many women's cosmetic lines there are, right? And how many of those that are made to look and smell like food, right? So women are encouraged to nourish their bodies with products like vanilla, sugar facial scrubs. I remember when those came out, chocolate mousse moisturizers, and coconut body butters. What are some arguments against cosmetic surgery? And I stopped it right there because I want you guys, there's so many pros, like, what should I do? How should I get this augmented? How should I get this done? Right? Is this going to make me look thinner? Right? But what are the cons? What are the things that are negative about surgery, cosmetic surgery? So I want you guys to think about that. And if any of these questions you have an answer to, I want you to go ahead and comment below, because again, this is a conversation. Thank you guys for emailing. My emails are like flowing over, and we have some people that are going through the email, so they are getting back to you. But we want to continue on this body image. How is social media affecting your body image? Right? Is social media making you feel more uncomfortable about yourself? So that's something that we want to talk about, and we're going to talk about this going forward now and also in the future. Social media can and then hurt your body image by constantly exposing yourself to the ideal body type, right? So when you're on TikTok and you're scrolling, and I just realized if you like something or if you save a video, I didn't know this, or I was looking for, just how these views are going so big, and I just kind of noticed a few of the views, so I clicked on it, I liked it just to save it, and now I'm getting the same type of video over and over again, and I didn't even notice. I thought that was what social media was, like everybody's like doing the same thing. No, if you like a certain body type and you swipe up on that or you hit like, guess what? Anything else that's coming in for that body type or what that looks like, or that video similar to that video, is going to come feed you. So you're going to start thinking that that's what people are supposed to look like, right? So by constantly exposing yourself to this ideal body type, you're leading to constant comparisons of yourself to unrealistic standards, right? So now you're thinking that you're supposed to have a 12-pack with 17 rib cage showing, pieces of your rib cage showing. Like, you're thinking that that's what you're supposed to look like, right? And this is what we want to start working with you guys. That's not what you're supposed to look like. It's called Photoshop and filters, and they're readily available to users. And if you want it to look like a certain way, all you have to do is hit the filter button and you will too. So I just want to let you guys know, and I always want to extend the counselor, if you or someone that you know are dealing with body image issues or have questions on body and beauty standards, please give us a call here at the Counselor Network. The number is 413-370-9937, or you can email me at promo@thecounselor.live, or you can slide up in my DMs. Some of these young users are developing low self-esteem issues, body issues, body shaming. Everyone thinks they have to have this waist that's a size 0. Some people cut their ribs out. They get surgery to remove fat. They put fat in different places. Everybody doesn't spend their money on the mall on Louis Vuitton purses. Some people actually take their money and invest into their body to look physically more attractive. With that said, there was a story with a guy, I'm going to pull it up in a minute, who had gotten his chest implants. So they weren't like breasts, but they were like kind of pecs and muscles. So, but because he was working out and the way he was working out, it started shifting them. So then they fell down under a pocket in his chest or something. I can't remember the entire article, but the point was the man, the surgery went botched. It went wrong and he almost died. He had to have him removed right away. And the first thing he said when he came out of the surgery was, "My life is over. What am I going to do?" So I said, wait a minute, give me a second. So, I just, so I'm a thinker. I like to think. Some of them are developing, some of these young users are developing low self-esteem issues, body issues, body shaming. Everyone thinks they have to have this waist that's a size 0. Some people cut their ribs out. They get surgery to remove fat. They put fat in different places. Everybody doesn't spend their money on the mall on Louis Vuitton purses. Some people actually take their money and invest into their body to look physically more attractive. With that said, there was a story with a guy, I'm going to pull it up in a minute, who had gotten his chest implants. So they weren't like breasts, but they were like kind of pecs and muscles. So, but because he was working out and the way he was working out, it started shifting them. So then they fell down under a pocket in his chest or something. I can't remember the entire article, but the point was the man, the surgery went botched. It went wrong and he almost died. He had to have him removed right away. And the first thing he said when he came out of the surgery was, "My life is over. What am I going to do?" So I said, wait a minute, give me a second. So, I just, so I'm a thinker. I like to think. Hi, this is the Counselor Live, and I am your host, Sheldon Stovall. So today we are continuing our conversation on body images, right? So we're going to start talking about male versus body image. We're going to go over some ideas of how they are different and how there are some similarities. We're also going to discuss fatism, disability, illness, and maybe some non-normative body images that sometimes people have confusion about. So when we say non-normative bodies, we're meaning someone that may have lost a limb, or someone that might have like a twisted ankle, so they're walking a little bit different. So all of these things have to do with our social society and how we view one another, and a lot of it is because of lack of understanding. All right, so far the research that we've been going over here has shown that the male and female body images share many of the same features. So women and men, boys and girls, we all deal with consequences of negative body image, right? So somewhere, somebody down the line is going to not feel comfortable about how they look, right? So we're going to talk about that. So some of these studies do point towards males being affected a little less severely than females. So a comparative study was conducted on how male and female body image dissatisfaction is an experience that we sometimes want to just simplify. Some people feel self-conscious when with attractive people of the other sex. So if you ever notice, I know I used to when I was younger, if you look around at your friends, if they like a girl, you can tell because they start squinting funny, they start putting on a deeper voice, you know what I mean, and saying, y'all mean, the whole personality starts to change, right? So when the topic of conversation pertains to physical experience or appearance, some people also start feeling a little uncomfortable. So if you have, if everybody's in there talking about someone's size or the fact that they have a lesser sized chest than some other females, that person, even if you're not talking about her or him, they're going to start feeling a little self-conscious, like, wow, so I guess there's an issue with how I look with even my friends, right? So sometimes when we're having discussions, we don't really know who we're affecting. And then all of a sudden you go text that friend the next day and you don't get a text back. And then it says block when you call and you're wondering what happened. How did I lose my best friend? Yeah, you said something terrible in front of them that affected even them, right? So you have to be careful even in your conversations when you're talking about people, or if you're upset and say that skinny little something or that fat something or something of that nature. You know, other people can pick up on that and they might get upset, right? So you want to make sure that you're thinking about things that you're saying before you say it. Even recreational activities. And this reported that both men and women experience negative emotions. A lot of them were moderate to sometimes more, very often, right, where the response is. So sometimes even when you're playing sports or you're involved in a sports activity, right? Sometimes, oh, you're too fat, you can't dunk, or you're too short, you can't dunk, or, you know, you can't grip the ball because your hands are small. Those things really do affect people, right? So this is how, if some of you guys are starting to wonder, how are you losing friends? Like, how am I losing my best friend of years? You're now projecting what you've learned from society onto your friends, and some people aren't happy with it, right? So how are men and women's body different, right? So men seem to be more prone to atypical eating disorders and substance use than women, right? So sometimes, you know, and often if you do know friends who use, they'll say, oh, well, this keeps me thin, right? Or this keeps my stomach flat, right? Or when we're working out and it's spring, it's March 29th, and you finally got the last piece of body weight off you, right? And you just can't get it off. Oh, you know, I'll just smoke a couple days and I'll be good, or something of that nature, right? Or pop some pills or drink a couple days, right? So some people use substance abuse to maintain their weight. So that's very serious. And I do remember a study in California, and that's when they started to ban the ephedra, right? Because they had all these wealthy ladies, these housewives, walking around high and tweaked out, right? Because they were giving it to them in the pill bottle. And so, you know, they had to actually make ephedra illegal because a lot of these weight loss pills were drugs, right? So men tend to be quieter about body negativity. So you don't really hear, at least I don't hear when I'm hanging out with the guys, oh, guy, hey, John, do you think I'm fat? Yes, you are, right? You don't hear that very often when you're hanging out with the guys. You don't really hear that, oh, do I look fat in this? You know, they'll be looking at you like, are you all right, bro? Right. So that's not often mentioned when it comes to men. Seeking treatment, right? A lot of men do not seek treatment. They'll hold off longer. Women, you know, they'll kind of go in because they know they got to get themselves together, whatever substance abuse or issues you're dealing with. But the men, with our pride, we seem to like typically will want to wait until the end of our journey, literally. And some of us don't make it to that end, right, before it's too late. So, men, you want to start thinking about trying to get some of these things taken care of, right? Some researchers say men are typically more satisfied with their physical appearance and less likely than women to exhibit body change behaviors, right? So again, it starts in the locker room when we all take our shirts off. Everybody's got flat chests and skinny arms, right? There might be one that's been working out in the summer, but other than that, guess what? We all look the same, right? So we start feeling a little bit more comfortable, like in the shower, you know, and as far as females concerned, you know, they're in the gym, they're hanging out with each other. All again, you know, I'm not sure exactly what happens in the locker room, and maybe some of you guys can kind of share it. But again, it typically works out that the men are less likely to exhibit the body image behaviors. Other researchers insist that men still struggle with body image. They say men are caught feeling either too thin or too heavy to meet the male ideal. So yes, even men, sometimes we feel like, okay, I'm too skinny, you know, especially some of these 15 and 16-year-olds when they, you know, they're killing themselves at the gym. You see their arms shaking, they're lifting like 200 pounds and their muscle hasn't moved, All right. This is all about the male ideal, what you're thinking that you should look like based on what you've seen, right? So you have to understand that your body is going to look like how your body is. It's going to develop the way your body should develop, right? So main body image also tends to be more misunderstood, the female body, than the men, right? So what is the main guy supposed to look like? You know, which actor? All these actors, everybody goes to the gym now. Everybody works out. Everybody has different body types, right? Some of the shorter guys got these big arms like Joe Giudice on the Housewives and Joey, the other one, you know, they're walking around these little short guys with big arms, right? So men have different body types, right? Men are presumed to be mainly concerned with a perceived lack of muscle, when in fact, male body image can be much more complex. So once it comes, like I said, everybody's in the gym now. When it comes to time in the summer, everybody's pulling off the shirts and still realizing there's always going to be somebody bigger than you walking in, right? If you watch wrestling, or if you lived in LA, you've been around basketball players, there's always going to be somebody bigger than you. There's always going to be someone taller than you. There's always going to be someone shorter than you. So these are images that we always find complex, that we have issues with, right? Some researchers claim that women are simply exposed to more social situations that make them feel dissatisfied with their body, right? So if you're in these, like say a wedding party, and you're one of the bridesmaids, right? And then they go dress fitting, and oh my gosh, everyone's starting to feel self-conscious, and oh, how was she looking in this dress versus me, right? So there's always some type of social issue. When we go as men to the tuxedo shop, we're all sitting there laughing and just getting fitted, and you know, and we're gonna all show up in the suit that was put on us, right? So we're not worried about how it fits, right? Most of us. All right, so it's sometimes something to think about, right? So the numbers reflect that women are more dissatisfied than men. All right, so, and that's again due to society, due to our social media, and the increasing levels of social media, which we're going to be talking about soon. Right, so boys and body image. So now we want to talk about adolescents. So adolescent boys, they reach puberty and experience a range of hormones. They sometimes can be susceptible to judgment about their bodies as much as girls can be in puberty, right? So boys, when we start getting a little older, reaching puberty, right, some of us get taller quicker, right? So some of us are taller once we hit 7th grade. Some of my friends shot right up. We were all the same size. You know, when we left school, we get back in school, and this one's like 6 feet tall in 6th grade, right? So people, their body starts changing even during puberty. So it's important that you don't judge yourself because you haven't developed like everyone else yet, or if you're overly developed, right? Some of these young females are developed early, right? And people are, you know, mentioning things about their body, which is inappropriate, right? Oh, I didn't know she was younger. Okay, well, you shouldn't be saying stuff like that anyways, right? So we got to remember to be respectful even to the younger females. So just as in the study, male body images researchers are torn on the issue that the media's effect on the way boys view their body. It might be difficult. So I just got some research numbers I wanted to give you guys. So as far as how does the media affect boys, okay? So subliminal media messages do influence boys, especially in the available choice and popular Halloween costumes. So if you guys ever look at the TikToks during Halloween, you know, no one has a shirt on, obviously, because that's our most attractive feature, I guess. So, you know, there's suspenders with whatever color shorts or something tight. So even the choice of Halloween costumes can affect someone's body image or is influenced by the social media. Supersized costumes, choices with padded abdominal chest, right? Some of the superheroes, everybody's always trying to look like a superhero. I think that if you ever go to Comic-Con, you can see some of the live superhero, people that had surgery, right, to look like certain heroes, right? Taking out a rib here and having their cheeks adjusted, right? So people getting chest augmentations, adding muscles, they have that image of what they want to look like. Influence of body ideal begins early. with padded costumes. So we're saying that even children, when they're younger, when they're pretending in Halloween to be He-Man, there's pads. So when they're striking their muscles, they're like, yes, look at my big muscles, right? So what are we doing? We're selling the idea to that child when they're young that's how they look good. That's how they're powerful, they're mighty, because they have big arms. Okay, so the researcher also argues this is due to the media's pressure on males, even young boys and toddlers, to desire to have a sculpted body, right? So all the magazines, especially when I was younger, any star that had muscles was always on the front cover, right? So the media is going to always sell that to us. And when you think about it, how many gyms do we have in this country? Right? How many weight trainers do we have in this country? Right? How many modeling agencies do we have, right? I want you guys to think about the questions I'm asking. All right? So how many natural supplement companies are out there, manufacturers, right? Clothes makers, designers, right? These people sit down at a table every morning and they discuss how they're going to market their product to you, right? So what do you like? What is your interest? So when you're sitting there liking all these photos of people with a size 0 waist that's been photoshopped, for example, have you guys ever met a star in Hollywood? All right, so living out in LA, my first time being there, of course, I'm running into people because I don't really watch too much TV. I can tell you the 3 stations I watch. One's Bravo, I can't remember the other one, Peacock, and there's another one. I watch a few stations, right, for a few shows. So when I watch these shows, right, I'm not sure if I'm going to run into these people or not. I remember I walked into a restaurant and the entire plate, Grey's Anatomy, people were there. And I just was hungry and I just happened to just wander in, right? And, I'm talking to people at the bar and things like that. I'm social. Had no idea that I was talking to stars of Grey's Anatomy. They were just celebrating, I guess, another season. So, I walked away with a couple of numbers. Again, I had no idea, of course. But yes, things like that. Like I didn't even know, but yeah, I did watch that show a few times, right? So sometimes the image that you see on TV may not be what that person really looks like. I remember running into Redman and what was the other guy that hung out with Redman? I can't remember. But I ran into them even in Connecticut one time. And I'm sitting there talking, oh, look at all the girls out here after the club. And guess what? I had no idea. My friends are like, do you know who you're talking to? I'm like, no. I didn't know. So I guess I'm lucky. I run into TV stars, right? All right. But again, people look different. And I actually did listen to his songs. And I think I watched a few of the videos. But again, people look different than they're projected on TV. That's my point. All right, so the media does not affect boys. So how does the media not affect boys? So bodily development during puberty into the larger, more muscular male keeps boys from being too concerned with media messages. So once we figure it out that we can go to the gym, start working out, get that 6-pack, that's what we do. We start doing it, right? High metabolism, low fat gain. So, I've mentioned that a few times. There are some people with a high metabolism, which means, right? So if they're eating 4 Whoppers, and I know a few people, not even their stomach won't even move because they have a high metabolism. They're burning off all that fat right away as soon as they're going in their body, right? Natural muscle development. Some people just are built stocky, right? They're built differently. They may not be working out. Growth spurts, right? You start getting taller for no reason. Your feet get big. You got a size 17 foot now, right? You start changing. The broadening of your chest, right? Your shoulders and your jaw are ideal features of the adolescent male that match society's male body ideal. We're all beautiful, everybody. 18, 17, 15, right? We're going to turn into that same beautiful thing as everybody else. The sad part is once you get past 40 and 50, now you got to stop worrying about looking up. You got to start worrying about not looking like everybody else, right? All right. And then this in opposition to men's body that may have relaxed since puberty and women and girls' bodies that grow in size and shape, all of which are opposite of society's ideals. So I did, like I said, I use this research because it's outside this country. We want to stop being sold, right? We want to stop being sold what we should look like, what we should sound like, right? We should hang out with, what size your best friend should be, right? We need to change our ideals. All right. So if you or someone you know may be experiencing some body image issues and needs to speak with someone, please give me a call. You can call here at the Counseling Network. The phone number is 413-370-9937. You can email me at promo@thecounselor.live, or you can slide up in my DMs. The Counselor. Is it okay to break up with your girlfriend for talking to another guy or following or liking another guy on TikTok? Wow. So if I can just use my educated opinion, I would say that's going a little bit too far. That person can be on the other side of the country, and you two are arguing about someone that this person will never meet or never knew, and they just like looking at that person. So my thought is that maybe you need to look in the mirror and check out your self-esteem levels. Maybe you have low self-esteem and you're feeling insecure. That's not her fault. All right, she was looking at the other guys before she met you. She may look at other guys while she's with you. It's okay. You have eyes, you can see. Right? I'm looking at you guys on the camera. So looking at someone, I don't think is a reason to break up. But for me, but I'm older now. I probably would have tolerated that back in the day. But for me, I just think that's doing too much. Another reason to argue. So, relationships. All right. More results. Well,
the concept was pretty simple. Just thinking about the concept. Of course, we were just messing around when we first built the studio. So it just came out, and then we gave it some life by giving it some substance. And pretty much Talk That Shit show was really supposed to be for you to come on a show without being censored, without being told what to say. You were supposed to be able to talk your shit and be free about it. And it's like a judge-free zone. So
nice.
And that was the premise of the whole Talk That Shit show. And also wanted to be in the community. We wanted the people around us to be able to, voice their, business, whatever they were doing, their venue, whatever they were doing. We wanted them to be able to showcase their talents on our show. So it's just like, it was a double thing. Like, talk that shit. If you doing something, talk that shit.
I like that.
And if you wanted to voice your opinion too, talk that shit too.
Nice.
Without being censored. We
Nice.
don't like cancel culture around here.
Okay.